physical body is totally relaxed. Mind is focused on the breath, not wandering anywhere. And doing this correctly, consistently, will quieten your mind. So let's sit straight on cameras, practice a few times. Now, with a quietened mind, one should do Nididhyasanam, Upasana, Dhyanam, done after studying Vedanta Shastras. The mind focused on the supreme reality, Brahma Tattvam, by recollecting key Upanishad mantras pointing to Brahman and reiterating the already understood meanings of these key Upanishad mantras. The central message of these Upanishad mantras being that our own true nature, Atman, is not different from Brahman, the supreme reality. So, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, to be reiterated during Nijidhyasanam, so that this central message of the Upanishads is totally internalized, resulting in transformation of the individual from Jiva Bhava to Brahma Bhava. The process of converting information to transformation is Nijidhyasanam. Upanishad itself says, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Tat Jalaniti Shanta Upasita. So to begin with, quieten the mind, Shanta Upasita. Then do Upasana, Nidhyasanam on Brahman. As what? Idam Sarvam Khalu Brahmaiva. Verily, all around us, the only absolutely real principle, the only absolute reality is Brahma Tattvam. Though not comprehensible by our sense organs or mind, but by systematic study of Vedanta Shastras, one is established in this doubtless knowledge that there is an absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, that is all pervading. And Brahman is called absolutely real because it is absolute in itself. It is independent of any other entity and of the nature of absolute existence, absolute consciousness, absolute bliss. Satchit Ananda Swarupam. From this absolute reality, all pervading Brahma Tattvam emerges the relatively real, seemingly real universe. Remember, the universe, the world, the events that happen around us are all only matter principles. They do not have any existence of their own. They borrow existence from Brahman, and this universe undergoes continuous creation, sustenance, dissolution. Since the universe and the world around us, which is being comprehended by our sense organs and mind, doesn't have any existence of its own, it is being called as seemingly real, relatively real. And since Brahman is the fundamental substratum for the universe to undergo creation, sustenance, dissolution, Brahman here is called as Tat Jalan. Tat Jalan means Tat Brahma, that supreme principle Brahma Tattvam, from which this universe undergoes Srishti, Sthiti, Layam. So also closer to us, our own physical body, sense organs, mind, thoughts are all only matter principles. Remember this, they also don't have any existence of their own. They borrow existence from the supreme reality Brahman, manifest themselves, are sustained for some period of time, and then finally get resolved into the fundamental matter. So, by pointing out that both the world and the events happening around us, as well as closer to us, whatever happens to our physical body, whatever thoughts arise in our mind, by pointing out that they are all only matter principles having no existence, because of which they are actually unreal. Upanishad is conveying a very, very important message. What is the message? Message is that just like things that are unreal, things that don't exist, things that do not have any existence, cannot create any impressions on our mind, do not impact our mind. So also with this knowledge, it's called Advaita Jnanam, that Brahman alone is absolutely real, rest are all unreal. One should learn to be unimpacted, unperturbed, undisturbed by any events happening around us, including whatever may happen to our physical body, whatever thoughts may be arising in our mind. Ignorant people not knowing that Brahman alone is absolutely real, it's all unreal, connect themselves emotionally to all the events happening around, including whatever thoughts arise in their mind, whatever happens to the physical body. And since they are never ever in one direction, they are subject to ups and downs. Their mind being emotionally connected to these are thrown into mental upheaval. And more often than not, when things don't happen as per their expectations, things are not favorable to them, their mind is thrown into distress, sorrow, dejection, and depression, and thrown into this whirlpool. They are finding it difficult to recover from that. Why? Because they are attached absolute reality to everything around, including their own thoughts. So, a person who's attained this jnanam, Advaita jnanam, that Brahman alone is absolutely real, it's all unreal, will be unperturbed, undisturbed by anything happening around, including whatever thoughts may be arising in one's mind, by being a witness of everything. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha, including being a witness of one's own thoughts. Greatest dhyanam that one can do. So, the only way for one to be established in permanent peace, absolute peace, is through this Advaita Jnanam. There is no other way other than this Advaita Jnanam for one to be established in permanent peace. Nanyah Pantha Ayanaya Vidyate. So proclaim in the Veda mantras. So the message of the Upanishad is very clear. This human birth is a great opportunity provided to all of us. Very rare to get a human birth. Not all beings are born as human beings. So this great opportunity should be taken with both hands, and one should do all the sadhanas, especially study of Vedanta Shastra, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, attain this Advaita Jnanam and be established in absolute peace, permanent peace. Now, to further elaborate on the all-pervading nature of Brahmatattvam, let's recollect another key Upanishad mantra pointing to the all-pervading supreme reality. Brahmaivedam amritam purastat, Brahma paschat, Brahma dakshinatastottarena, adhaschordhamscha prasritam, Brahmaivedam vishwamidam varishtham, idam vishwam Brahma eva varishtham. In the universe, Brahman alone is the greatest, most glorious, absolute reality, all-pervading principle, which is in front of us, behind us, to our right, left, below, above, and also inside and outside each one of us. Antar bahishcha tatsarvam vyapya narayana sthitaha. So if this absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, is also present within each of us, how do we recognize, how do we know, how do we understand? Upanishads point out that the same absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, that is all pervading, is also present within each of us, now called as the Atman. Atman also is Satchit Ananda Swarupam. Brahman is also Satchidananda Swarupam. By focusing on any of the three natural aspects, Swarupa Lakshanam of Atman, Sat Swarupam, Chit Swarupam, or Ananda Swarupam, with a mind that is quietened, drawn from the world and looking inward, because we are trying to discover the Atma Tattvam within us, and using the key Upanishad mantras for Nidhyasanam, and analyzing how does the physical body, which is only a matter principle without any existence, is able to exist and perform all the functions. How does the mind, which is also only a matter principle, gets the capability to have cognition, knowledge. When you analyze this very carefully with a quietened mind, you'll be able to clearly understand that there is a greater principle, a consciousness principle present within us, which enables the physical body and the mind. What are the three natural aspects? Satchit Ananda Swarupam, Swarupa Lakshana of Atman. Let's focus on Chit Swarupam, Chaitanya Tattvam, absolute consciousness principle. If you look at how the mind is able to function, have cognitive capability, though being only matter principle, you'll be able to understand that there is a consciousness principle present within us. Recollect the key Upanishad mantra pointing to this consciousness principle. Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amrutam. So bodham, bodham, pratibodham, the continuous cognition, the knowledge that the mind has acquired. How? Viditam matam. Understand that this cognitive capability of the mind is enabled because of the presence of the consciousness principle present within us, which enlivens the mind and makes it acquire the cognitive capability to know things. Pratibodha viditam matam. Where is this conscious principle? Within each one of us, emanating from within. And one who knows that there is a conscious principle present within us, and that is our true nature, and owns up to it as one's own true nature, understanding the physical body, sense organs, mind are all only superimpositions. Upanishad declares that such a person attains immortality. Pratibodha vijitam matam amritatvam hi vindate. How? Knowing that I am of the nature of Atman. My true nature is Satchitananda Swarupam. Ever complete. No more desires arise in the mind of a person who has attained this jnanam, an Atmajnani, Brahmajnani. While ignorant people spend their entire life chasing different desires and finally perish the number of unfulfilled desires, which form the seed for the next cycle of birth and death. Atmajnani, Brahmajnani is established in a desireless state because Atmajnani knows I am ever complete, and so established in a desireless state overcomes this cycle of birth and death. Samsara chakram, no more samsara chakram for Atmajnani. So the Upanishad declares, Pratibodha vijitam matam amritatvam hi vindate. And also, while living with this Atmajnanam, a Jivan Mukta, alive but established in Brahmajnanam, the Upanishad says that Atmana vindate viryam. Such a Atmajnani, Brahmajnani, while being alive with Atmajnanam, is bestowed with special mental fortitude, mental strength. What is that? Well, ignorant people will break down when things don't happen as per their expectations. They are thrown to distress and sorrow. An Atmajnani, be unperturbed, undisturbed, even if any seemingly unfavorable things are happening around, because Atma Jnani knows they are actually unreal and is able to emotionally separate oneself from everything around, including one's own thought. So, Atmana Vindate Vidyam, special mental fortitude, which establishes a Brahmajnani, Atmajnani in permanent peace, absolute bliss. And Vidyaya Vindate Amritam. Since knowledge is totally internalized, the person becomes an Atmanishtha, Brahmanishtha. Person is bestowed with immortality, no more subject to cycle of birth and death. So, wonderful mantra to recollect and do nijidhyasanam. Pratibodha vijitam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Atmana vindate vidyam vidyaya vindate amritam. So, knowledge of absolute reality of one's own true nature as Atman, not different from Brahman, bestows immortality. Now, let's see in Sri Adi Shankaracharya's wonderful composition, Atma Bodha, how one is able to be established in Atma Jnanam by removing various doubts, layers of ignorance are being removed so that one is firmly established in this Atma Jnanam. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Medev Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parambrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Shajevamaroginam Gurave Sarvalokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अपार करुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्महम् ॐ. I'll now chant 6 key shlokas focusing on jnanam not to be forgotten. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Bhagavanuvacha Teshamevanukampartham Ahamajnanajam Tamaha Nashayamyatmabhavasthaha ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिः तमसः परमुच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्ठितं न हि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते तत्स्वयं योगसंसिद्धः कालेनात्मनि विन्दति ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम् येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परं यथैधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निः भस्मसात् कुरुतेऽर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा यस्य सर्वे समारम्भाः कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तमाहुः पंडितं बुधाः ओम शांति शांति शांति. Now let's stand the 5 key verses focusing on the matter principle also to be remembered constantly. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Daivi Hesha Gunamayi मम माया दुरत्यया मामे बहे प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किंचिदस्ति धनंजय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति भ्रामयन् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढाणि मायया. So how does one overcome this? Maya Prabhavam only by Advaita Jnanam. Well summarized in this Bodha Karika, presenting the essence of all the Upanishads. Recollect this key verse. Prapancho yadi vidyeta nivarteta na samshayaha maya matramidam dvaitam advaitam paramarthataha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, today's verse for contemplation, Gita verse for contemplation. We have been contemplating on the 7th chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. Today, verse number 27, 7.27 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Understand this verse and understand the meaning. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ichha Dvesha Samuthena Dvandva Mohena Bharata Sarva Bhutani Sammoham Sarge Yanti Parantapa. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, in this 7th chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Bhagavan himself explains the nature of Ishvara Tattvam so that we understand this very clearly. In the previous couple of verses, verse number 24 and 25, 7.24 and 25, Bhagavan pointed out why people are unable to know Bhagavan, even though he has taken an avatara and is present amongst human beings. The key reason being the Maya Prabhavam, Yoga Maya, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritaha. People engulfed in Maya Prabhavam, unable to have any discrimination and only chasing different desires and only focusing on pleasures, not trying to withdraw their mind or unable to have a mind that is purified, not able to know the supreme reality, not able to recognize Bhagavan. And Bhagavan also mentioned his actual avatara, Mahima. Bhagavan says that, verse number 26, which you have not taken up, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Bhagavan says that, I know the past, present and future of all beings. As a karma phaladata, only Bhagavan knows the nature of all the jivas, past, present and future. But no one knows Ishvara, uncomprehendable, aprameyaha. And so, Bhagavan says that even while being born, means what? Even at the time of birth, all human beings are born with something fundamental which is called as ignorance, avidya. Now look at the verse number 27. Whereas Ishvara, when he takes an avatara, Bhagavan, when he takes an avatara, is born with the full understanding that I am actually unborn. Ajopi san nabhyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san. And as a person who knows one's own true nature, Bhagavan is not subject to the Maya Prabhavam. Whereas, what happens to Jiva? Look at this verse. He Bharata, he Arjuna, Dvandva Mohena, Dvandva Moham, due to the delusion of duality. So once the mind is engulfed in Moham, Moham, the root cause is Ajnanam, Avidya. Because of ignorance, what is the fundamental effect of ignorance? the thought of duality, and moham, which is that it makes the mind think that right as wrong, wrong as right. So this delusion finally forces one to have the sense of duality, that I am different, rest everything is different. Without knowing my own true nature, Atman, attaching oneself to the physical body, sense organs, mind, separates oneself as an individual, and so everything becomes separate. So this delusion of duality, dvandva mohena, ichha dvesha samuthena. And so what happens? Because of the fact that I am separate, rest are all different, I'm incomplete. It is something that I had to acquire to become complete. There arises desire, and once desire arises, kamaha, then there is what? Also what? Ragadvesham, likes and dislikes. So, caused by desire and hatred, due to the delusion of duality, sarva bhutani, all beings, right on bracket, because the fact that they are ignorant, they are steeped in avidya, yanti sammoham. So further are thrown into deeper delusion, get deluded. How sarge? Sarge means at the time of birth itself. Remember, this avidya is not something that one acquires after being born. Even at the time of birth, evamayam anadi anantaha naisargiko adhyasaha mithya pratyaya rupaha. Right from the time one is born, because it has been carried over from previous thousands of lives, right at the time of birth itself, jivas being totally engulfed in ignorance are thrown into delusion of duality. It gives rise to ragadvesham. So write down avidya, kama, ragadvesham, and then once you have likes and dislikes, you want to chase what you're liking and you want to acquire them and you want to get rid of things you hate. So these likes and dislikes will throw one into action. So this avidya that is there in the mind of all beings when they are born is what? Engulfing them right at the time of birth. So Bhagavan says it is what already there. Along with this jiva, this avidya is born. So as opposed to Ishvara, when he takes an avatara, is born with the full knowledge that I am this Satchidananda Swarupam, this physical body, what I have taken. But avatara is only a superimposition. Whereas jivas are endowed with avidya right at the time of birth itself. Sarge, very important word in this birth, sarge, at the time of birth itself. So let's chant this verse again and remember the meaning. And so one has to make every attempt in this life to get rid of this avidya that is there with us right from the time of birth, so that we are not subject to repeated birth and death again and again. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ichha Dvesha Samuthena Dvandva Mohena Bharata Sarvabhutani Sammoham Sarge Yanti Parantapa. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, let's begin a session on Atma Bodha. Remember, all the verses have a key example, Upamanam. Keep on remembering or make a separate list. All the different examples Acharya is giving so that you can remember the key message of Atma Bodha. Atha Srimad Shankaracharya Virachita Atma Bodha. Let's chant the first few verses. Om Tapobhihi Kshinapapanam Shantanam Vitaraginam Mumukshunam Apekshoyam Atma Bodho Vidhiyate. बोधोन्य साधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैक साधनम पाकस्य वन्निवज्ञानम विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति अविरोधितया कर्म नाविद्यां विनिवर्तयेत् विद्या विद्यां निहन्त्येव तेजस्तिमिरसङ्घवत् परिच्छिन्न इवाज्ञानात् तन्नाशेषति केवलः स्वयं प्रकाशते ह्यात्मा मेघापायेंशुमानिव अज्ञानकलुषं जीवं ज्ञानाभ्यासाद् विनिर्मलम् कृत्वा ज्ञानं स्वयं नश्येत् जलं कतकरेणुवत् ओम शांति 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 स्वागतम hearty welcome to our next session understanding the meanings of the verses of Atma Bodha. So we've seen 4 verses. We are in the 5th verse of Atma Bodha, in which a key question is being answered. What is the doubt that may arise? Remember, Atma Bodha is all about removing the layers of ignorance. More and more you think deeply, more and more doubt should arise. If you are not getting any doubt about my true nature, am I really Atma Tattvam? That means we are not thinking. So the layers of ignorance are being removed. So the key doubt that may arise in the mind of an individual is, okay, I take up study of Vedanta Shastras, do Shravana Manana Nidhyasanam, and acquire Brahma Jnanam. And so once I acquire Brahma Jnanam, there is a vritti. Vritti means what? Thought. The mind that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, because the world around us makes us what? Recognize duality, that I exist, the world exists, they are different from me. But this Atma Jnana Vritti that is there, it's called Vritti Jnanam, enabling me to be established in Atma Jnanam. So, will I continue to experience duality, Dvaitam? Only my Vritti Jnanam is making me understand that there is only one absolute reality, but in experience there is duality. So to remove the doubt whether duality will continue to exist even for an Atma Jnani, this particular verse number 5, Ajnana Kalusham Jeevam Jnanabhyasat Vinirmalam Kritva Jnanam Swayam Nashyet Jalam Kataka Renuvat. So Acharya says wonderfully, by continuous practice of Shravana Manana Nidhyasanam, especially Nidhyasanam, keep on repeating this, right? What is Nidhyasanam? The process of converting the knowledge, Atma Jnanam, that has been acquired through Shravanam and Mananam, has to be internalized totally, so that it results in transformation of the individual from Jiva Bhava to Brahma Bhava. So, through this constant practice, especially of Nidhyasanam, one is established firmly in the fact that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. And once you are established in that absolute truth, Aham Brahmasmi, you will know that neither the body has got any reality, the mind definitely doesn't have any reality. So the thought that arises in the mind also doesn't have any reality. I separately am existing. This thought is also not real, it is unreal. And so there is no separate individual that is existing. So when I don't exist separately, there is a question of me having a thought that is separate and the world being separate. There is only one absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam, Brahmaiva Satyam. So for the most Uttama Adhikari, the important message is Brahma Jnanam Api Mithya. Even the Brahma Jnanam, the thought that I am Brahman, is also Mithya, Brahmaiva Satyam. And so constant Nidhyasanam, even what finally melts the mind. One reaches a state of Manonashanam. No more there is separate mind which is going to give duality any importance. So having merged in Brahman, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati, even the thought that I am Brahman also disappears. There's no separate thought that Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi is not there. Having merged in Brahman, there is only one absolute reality, Brahma Satyam, Brahmaiva Satyam. And for this, Acharya gives an example. In the olden days, you didn't have any water purifier. Like today, you got different water purifiers, multi-level purifier, etc. A simple method, but very effective method was being employed. There was a nut called the kataka nut. When that nut is powdered and put into a pot of water, what that powder does is it collects all the impurities, dust, mud, etc., solidifies and settles at the bottom. Then when you look through the water, you will not be able to see that powder that was thrown in. It is disappeared. So just like, now write down the example. Just like the kataka nut, which was used to destroy the impurities, also gets finally dissolved or destroyed. Similarly, the Brahmajnana Vritti, thought process that is being used to remove ignorance, when practiced constantly, also dissolves. No more is there a separate vritti that is left to establish duality. So write down the example here. So kataka net is the cause for what? Removing the impurity, and this kataka nut, which is powdered, finally gets dissolved with the impurity and totally separate. It's no more found in the pure water. So separation has happened. Similar to kataka nut, powder is what? The jnana vritti, brahma jnana vritti. When the jiva constantly does nididhyasanam, shravanam nididhyasanam, that thought also dissolves finally, doesn't exist separately, and only Brahman exists. Brahmaiva satyam. So now look at the Padavibhagadmaya. Ajnana kalusham jivam jnanabhyasat vinirmalam. Clear? Kritva jnanam swayam nashyet. Put a takar, nashyet. Jalam kataka renuvat. Kataka renuvat. Kataka renuvat is the example of the Upamanam. Now look at the meaning with Anmaya. Jeevam Ajnana Kalusham. So, an ignorant being who thinks that first I am this physical body without even basic understanding attaching to physical body. Later, after getting some dharma, adharma, vivekam, thinks I am the jiva. I am the jiva subject to constant birth and death. So, attaching to what? Sthula shariram is maha ajnanam. Attaching to sukshma shariram, which is the jivatma, also is a layer of ignorance. So, even if a person is identifying oneself with jivatma, jivam, ajnana kalusham. Ajnana kalusham means stained, polluted, defiled by what? Ignorance. So this ever pure Atma Tattvam, remember Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, actually my true nature is what? Satchitananda Swarupam, the ever pure Atma Tattvam. Because of Ajnanam, there is Kalusham. What is the Kalusham? Once you don't know that you are this pure Atma Tattvam, Ragadvesham arises in the mind. And this Ichha Ragadvesham makes the Jivatma, Ajnani Jivatma enter into karma, avidya, kama karma, remember that. And so, chasing different desires and trying to acquire things one likes and removing things one hates. That's karma. And in the process, what? Is all the karma done by us only punyam? A lot of papam also comes. Punyam, even if it comes, becomes the cause for rebirth. Papam will take us further into misery. So this punyam papam is the real kalusham. That's a stain. Because of what? Ajnanam. See how Ajnanam gives rise to punyam papam. This kalusham resulting sukham, dukkham, raga, dvesham continues, goes on and on. So jivam ajnana kalusham. Bhagavan has mentioned sarge, right from the time of birth it is there with us. So what happens? Among millions and millions. So bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Few of them take up to jnanabhyasat. Take to jnanamargam. After doing karma yoga, upasana, they take up systematically Vedanta Shastras because they got blessings of Guru, Shastram and Bhagavan. And Jnana Abhyasat. This Jnana Abhyasat is what? Shravana Manana Nidhyasanam. Jnana Abhyasat Vinirmalam. So this Ajnanam which is there, the mind of an ignorant Jivatma, because of Jnanam, remember, Ajnanam can be ruled only by Jnanam, which you already seen, is rendered pure, vinirmalam. So the impure, kalusham jivam, because of ajnanam, is rendered pure, vinirmalam, through jnanabhyasam. So now understand. Slowly what happens when you understand that I am actually Atma Tattvam? Has our raga dvesham reduced or not? Just recollect yourself. I mean, go back in time, maybe 3-4 years back, how much you're attached to so many different things, how much of raga dvesham we had. Now, more or less what? We don't bother about what is happening around, right? All that we want is to be further and further clearly established in Atma Jnanam, and more we are doing Shravanam and Nidhyasana. We withdraw from the world and not getting impacted by anything around. Yes or no? So, this constant practice of Jnanabhyasam, because of Jnanabhyasam, Jnanabhyasat, through repeated practice of Shravanam and Nidhyasanam, this knowledge purifies the Jivatma. Yes or no? We are more calm. So, what is the proof of purification? The mind has become more calm. Mind doesn't get unnecessarily disturbed. Mind doesn't get unnecessarily angry. Ragadvesham is reduced. Ichha is reduced to a great extent. Yes or no? Our desires, requirement, slowly everything is coming down. So, this purification you can clearly see. So, Acharya says, Jivam Ajnana Kalusham Dhyana Vinirmalam is purified through the practice of Shravanam and Nidhyasanam. And when this practice is continuous, constant, committed, the commitment should not be only to attain a pure mind, but the commitment should be to get released from samsara chakram. That means what? Be established in Brahma Jnanam. And when this is done constantly, and one attains Brahma Jnanam, Brahma Nishtha, then what happens? Kritva Jnanam Swayam Nashye. Kritva. Having done the duty of establishing one in Atma Jnanam, Brahma Jnanam, Kritva refers to the Brahma Jnana Vritti. Having done its job, Kritva. What? Having done the job of purification and establishing one in Atma Jnanam, Brahma Jnanam. This Jnana Vritti, Jnanam, Swayam Nashye, itself disappears because there is no thought of I. As long as there is thought of I being separate vritti, aham, then aham brahmasmi, then aham, ahankaram, mamakaram, all that, as long as aham exists. So Nidhyasanam finally dissolves even this aham vritti, and so totally established in Jnanam is only Brahmayeva Satyam. This thought process, so-called Jnana Vritti, Vritti Jnanam Swayam, itself, Nashye, is totally destroyed. So, understand that there is no more importance given to anything around, including one's own thought. Because you become an observer of your own thought, right? It's separate from you. So you are Brahman. Aham Brahma. This is only Brahman. Brahmaiva Satyam. So even the thought is destroyed. And what is left? Only Brahman. Brahmaiva Satyam. How? Example is given. Jalam Kataka Renuvate. So Renu means powder. Kataka Renu means the powder of the Kataka nut. So this Kataka Renu, as explained, purifies the water and also itself disappears. Initially it is separate, but over a period of time it purifies the water and disappears. Similarly, the Jnana Vritti is separate. For a period of time it purifies, renders the individual to be Brahman and also disappears. So wonderful example. Just like the Kataka nut powder disappears after purifying the water, the Jnana Vritti, Aham Brahmasmi Jnana Vritti also disappears after establishing an individual in Brahman. And so there is no more duality. Brahmaiva Satyam. If at all any duality seems to appear, it is only what? Abhasam, seemingly real, has no reality. So wonderful verse. We will chant it and go to the next one. Ajnana kalusham jeevam jnanabhyasat vinirmalam कृत्वा ज्ञानं स्वयं नश्येत् जलं कतकरेणुवत् ओम शांति शांति शांति. Now the next doubt that one may have, remember we have been seeing the fact that this avidya ajnanam is at three levels. What is the first level of ajnanam? Not knowing that there is a Brahma Tattvam, absolute reality, is called what? Jnana bhavam. Jnanam, jnana bhavam. Second is after you start studying Vedanta Shastras, slowly we get this jnanam that I am this Atma Tattvam, there is only Brahman, there is absolute reality, but there is lot of doubts called Samshaya Jnanam. Right? Second level is what? Samshaya Jnanam, doubtful knowledge. There is doubt here and there. And the final thing that still remains, even after doubts are removed, is Viparita Jnanam. Viparita Jnanam means what? In spite of having this knowledge, it is not fully what? Internalized. So every now and then, when suddenly faces something that is not expected, we go back. Oh, I am this Jivatma struggling, all this problem, not establishing oneself in Brahman. Even after having studied Vedanta Shastras and removing the doubts, the Viparita Jnanam is there. Means what? At the subconscious level, it is still existing, and that has to be removed by Nijidhyasanam. That's why Nijidhyasanam is very important to remove Viparita Jnanam. So to remove Ajnanam, you do Shravanam. To remove Samshaya Jnanam, you do Mananam. Remove all the doubts. Again and again study, ask questions, remove all the doubts. Finally, to remove the Viparita Jnanam, totally opposite thought. What is the real understanding? Aham Brahmasmi. Opposite thought is I am this miserable jiva. To remove that from the subconscious mind, one does Nididhyasanam. And so, the doubt that may arise is, even if I'm established in Atma Jnanam, the world that is appearing to our sense organs, mind, constantly impacting us, looks real. Yes or no? Any amount of study of this Vedanta Shastras doesn't remove this deep down doubt that this world is real, it is tangible, it is something that is directly perceivable, and so it is real. And on the other hand, if the world is real, then there is duality, there is Brahman, there is world. Then duality becomes real. Then how can non-duality, Advaita Tattvam, be established? How can there be only one absolute reality when the world also appears to be real? So, is the world real or an illusion? Has to be clearly understood. So this verse number 6, is going to Give us a solution to this problem. Why does the world appear to be real? Even though we are firmly established in the knowledge that there is only one reality, absolute reality, Brahma Tattvam. So look at the verse and we look at the meaning. Very nice verse. Verse number 6. Samsara swapnatulyo hi. Samsara swapnatulyo hi. Ragadveshadi sankulaha. Ragadveshadi sankulaha. Swakale satyabadbhati. Swakale satyabadbhati. Prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Easy to chant. Try again. Om samsara swapnatulyo hi. Ragadveshadi sankulaha. Swakale satyabadbhati. Prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Again. Samsara swapnatulyo hi. Ragadveshadi sankulaha. Swakale satyabadbhati. Prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, remember, Ajnanam is Jnanabhavam, Samshaya Jnanam and Viparita Jnanam, because of which we have given reality to these three things, which is the universe. What are they? Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara. Not knowing the real nature of Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara is the product of ignorance. So, what is Jiva in essentiality? Write down. Jiva is equal to Atma Tattvam, Atman plus this Deha Manaha Buddhi. Deha Manaha, right? So, an ignorant person attaches oneself to body, mind, sense organ, Deha Manaha Buddhi, forgets that I am that Atman. Then, who is Ishvara? Ishvara is equal to Brahman plus Maya. Not knowing Brahman, thinks that what? Ishvara is also another physical entity with lot of powers. Only the physical powers of Ishvara is known, not Brahma Tattvam. And the Jagat, which we think is real, is actually what? A superimposition on Brahman, which is the all-pervading principle. So Jagat is actually Ishvara's lower nature, Apara Prakriti, having no existence of its own, not knowing that Brahman is the only absolute reality which provides existence to the universe, Jagat. Jagat is matter principle. Not knowing that, we think that matter is real. We attach importance to the world. So, what is the real problem? Real problem in Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, thinking they're all real is not knowing Brahman, not knowing the Atma Tattvam, not attaining Brahma Jnanam, Atma Jnanam, makes us believe that Jiva is actually Deha Manaha Buddhi, Jagat is what? Matter principle real, and Ishvara himself is not actually Sakshat Param Brahma Tattvam, but a physical form with a particular what? Vesham, Bhusham, and Avaram, etc. And so Ishvara is only a physical God. This is the understanding. And so Acharya says, having been steeped in his ignorance, one is subject to samsara chakram. Because I think I am this physical body, sense organs, mind, I'm incomplete. And by fulfilling something, by acquiring something, I'll be able to what? Establish myself in completeness. This Ajnani Jivatma continuously engages in action in this world, and so goes on and on. Has any action been able to fulfill anybody completely, render anybody complete? No. And so this cycle of birth and death, this life also, person dies with a lot of unfulfilled desires, next life, so the samsara chakram continues. And having been born, what happens? There is raga, dvesham, likes and dislikes. There is what? Punyam, papam. Because of raga, dvesham, punyam, papam, good things we do, bad things we do, sukham, dukkham, labham, nashtam, all these things, all this duality, then what engulfs the individual. And so this samsara chakram continues, and because the person thinks all this is real and goes on and on. Now, when one gets jnanam, so after a lot of births, bahunam janmanamante, one enters jnana margam, attains this jnanam. How should one understand this relative reality, this seeming reality, transactional reality? Why does the world continue to appear to be real? For an ajnani, it is parama satyam. For a jnani, has to respect the dharmam, right? Has to give what transactional reality to the world. How should one understand? Acharya says, samsaraha swapna tulyaha, equivalent to that of a dream. See, for a dreamer, the dream appears to be real. Yes or no? All of us do experience dreams. Nobody can say that I don't get any dreams. And when you wake up for a brief period, you also recollect the dream. And then finally you say, oh, this was a dream. Luckily, right? Because many things which we didn't desire happened in the dream. So, just like a dream is true for a dreamer, and on waking up, you know that it is not real. For an ignorant person who has not understood Brahman, understood one's own true nature as Atman, the world continues to appear to be real. So as long as you're dreaming, the dream world is real. Yes or no? Can you say the dream world is unreal in the state of dream? No. Only on waking up, you can negate the dream world. You can say the dream was unreal. So as long as a person is dreaming, the dream world appears real. Similar to that, as long as the person is steeped in ignorance and samsara chakram, this world will appear to be real. Right on this wonderful Gaudapada Karika. Anadi mayaya suptaha yada jiva prabudyate ajama nidramaswapnam advaitam buddhyate tada. So anadi mayaya suptaha. Gaudapadacharya says wonderfully, this anadi maya, evam anadi anantaha, has been existent from time immemorial, even for a jiva who is born with this avidya, anadi mayaya, suptaha. This jiva atma is as if in a state of constant dream, equivalent to dream. Yada jiva prabudyate, only when the person wakes up, the person knows that this is a dream and doesn't give importance to the experience of the dream. Similarly, when the jiva arises the fact that this actually world is unreal, only Brahmaiva Satyam, all the experiences of the samsara that is there, what we think, raga, dvesham, labham, nashtam, punyam, papam, sukham, dukkam, all that you will be able to understand they are actually unreal, seemingly real because of jnanam. So, even when you are interacting in the world, if you lose that Brahma Jnanam, establishment of the mind in Brahma Jnanam, immediately what happens? Ragadvesham comes, Sukham Dukkham comes, miserable feeling comes. Yes or no? So you have to be established in the Jnanam constantly to negate the world, which always will make you feel as a separate individual, world as real. Yes or no? So even after getting jnanam, if you don't apply the jnanam, means what? If you don't have that constantly in the back of the mind, even when interacting in the world, the worldly event, that things that happen around us will affect us. Yes or no? So remember, the jnanam that has been attained has to be permanently established in the mind, and that's when you can negate this world also as being unreal. Just like you negate the dream as unreal when in a waking state. State of jnanam, the world becomes unreal. So, important message, the example, simile here is that samsaraha swapna tulyaha, equivalent to a dream, and on waking up, you negate the dream. Similarly, when one wakes up to the reality, so Anadi Maya Suptaha Yadajiva Prabudyate Ajam Anidram Aswap Madvaitam Buddhyate Tada. Advaita Jnanam is firmly established. Then you know that I was neither born as separate Jiva, nor am I existing separate Jiva, nor am I going to continue to exist. I am that Brahman. And so, importantly, I'll give you the clue. Prabodhe Sati Asat Bhavet. We'll see in the next session with Padhoyoga Anmaya. This important verse of how the world will no longer remain as a separate entity and will no longer remain a reality when the individual is established in Brahma Jnanam firmly. We'll chant this verse in this session. Samsara Swapna Tulyo hi Ragadveshadi Sankulaha Swakale Satyavadbhati Prabodhe Satyasad Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Tatsat Krishna 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 Shubhamastu Samasta Sanmangalani Bhavantu. Hari Om. Meet again in about 12 hours. Continue study of the Mundakopanishad. Narayana Narayana.